Hey everybody, so I'm back for another review of Love During Lockup, part of the Love After Lockup long series. Free Candice Season 5, Episode 27. If you're watching this, one, thank you. Two, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate the support. Um, yes, I saw the Cassie video. I never doubted her story. And as I've told you in other kinds of videos, I know these things are real intimately. And I don't really have it in me to talk about this. And a huge piece of me doesn't think this is revelatory for the people that were denying it. And the people who say, oh, she did it for money. Fuck does that mean? She did it for money. Even if she fucking did. This son of a bitch is lucky to be out for assault. Shit, he did it to cover his ass. And that shit made me cry. That's why I really can't talk about it, because it's just too painful and too real. And fuck that hotel for releasing that footage in 2024 when that shit happened in 2016. Let me tell you something. A motherfucker who acts like that ain't never his first fucking time. And the security cameras caught all this. Who the fuck went up there and intervened? And I kept saying, how come nobody on the hall? And then I realized, oh yeah, rich people can get out whole floors. But security fucking knows. Y'all let that man practically kill her. Suppose she would have died. They need to be sued. Because I can't imagine how re-triggering this is for Cassie. And then to have the whole world look at it. And it has to be re-triggering, and to some degree like, yeah, I know, I told them. I don't know what she's feeling. So I don't want to make this, I don't want to be a part of people, overanalyzing. I don't want to say they're overanalyzing. I can't do it. I believe her. I believe all those other people that are coming out. And who gives a fuck if it's about money? Yeah, they fucking need therapy. They fucking deserve that. The time he ain't spending in jail for that, they deserve. The fuck do you mean about money? Everything in this country is about money. Why is it always when victims ask for it, then all of a sudden it's an issue? I'm not interested in arguing with men. I'm not interested in arguing with women. The fact that you needed to see this violent evidence to go, oh, I'm sorry, I believe you. Fuck you. Fuck you. This ain't Puppy's first rodeo. And let me tell you something, people been known about that and they ain't give a fuck. Because when you fuck over black women, nobody gives a shit. Even other black women. At times. I'm not talking about all of us, but I'm saying it. And that's a lonely space because black women are way too vulnerable. And yes, I'm saying black women. I'm not talking about all women are victims of domestic violence, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you are especially vulnerable, when your tears mean nothing. And your pain means nothing. And it's just suck it up. Go half and half. You want too much. The lack of humanity that we are treated with on top of all these other things. So Cassie may never see this video, but to Cassie, to any other woman, any other girl who's been through this, is going through this, just know we love you. I love you. I see you in anything, anywhere that I can ever do to help. Reach out. And I don't want to hear no bullshit about why didn't she leave. She was a fucking teenager when she met him. He was in his goddamn 30s. And that's still, to this day, all of the experts say the most dangerous time is actually safer for women to stay, because when they actually leave, threaten to leave is when men murder them. Why aren't more men in jail for this, in prison? This is assault. That's why I don't like the term domestic violence. This is assault. That means you have a better chance of somebody on the street who you don't know going to jail for hitting you out of nowhere than a man who does that perpetually. And then you're made to feel embarrassed for the way he treats you. And that's what shame does, when you feel guilt for somebody else's behavior. And it's the psychology of it all. And men's violence. I'm not fucking doing it. I'm not arguing. I don't give a shit about his fucking triggers, his fucking childhood. Fuck that shit. And every other man that uses that as an excuse. Every day people got to get up and deal with childhood traumas and every fucking thing else. Those are decisions, and I don't give a fuck. Are we clear? Good, because I want people like that to stay the fuck out of my comment section. All right, here we go. My internet was also down. My router actually and modem my modem comped, and I had to go to the Spectrum store, which seemed to take, despite the line of 4 people, it took hours. So Thursday night it went out. Friday I had to stay at school all day, then went to the Spectrum line, and then it still didn't go, and the technician came this morning. So anyway, that's why I'm doing this video now. Okay. Love during lockup. All right. So let's start with Andrew and Candice, okay? So Candice gets out of jail. She came out looking real free. Like she just seemed like, oh, you know, like she had just been, I don't know, in rehab or something. So she's talking about how she missed him. And I'm like, what the fuck? You never met him. What the fuck? Oh, I've longed for you would have been a better response. But okay. So they were just standing on the bare street corner. I was like, what I would do to have a clean bare street corner living in New York. Anyway, so she's been in and out of jail throughout her life. She has stolen vehicles. That's part of her charges. Now, I'm not saying that people can't change their lives. I'm not saying that I don't hope people change their lives, because I really do. But I'm also hoping that Andrew, somebody who pays $500 a month for child support and acts like that's a hindrance to him taking care of somebody that was in jail and is willing to pay the bare minimum for that, goes and buys her a brand new truck. And she has not one, but 2. And maybe I quit counting after that. Stolen vehicle charge. This is a thing for her. She didn't ask for just some car to get me from point A to point B. And you knew that, Andrew. And then you bought a car she couldn't even afford. This is the bullshit. He asked her to marry him right out of jail. I said, this is ridiculous. Y'all don't even know each other. Y'all are phone buddies. What the fuck? Okay, she says, yeah. No, he said her mom came to him in a dream. I said, bruh, that is so not believable. Do you even know what her mother looks like? How? Anyway, she says, yes, we don't give a fuck. Candace does not look good in the confessional. I'm sorry, that's mean. I shouldn't do that. But I did think she looked better coming out of jail. I'm just saying. Candace is going to a halfway house, which, you know, fine. Okay, people have to do that. And she's like, she has to do all this stuff to prove she can leave, this, that, and the other, like 20 to 30 days. I was like, so why did he rent out a fucking apartment instead of a hotel room? Knowing he has to take his ass back to work to pay for this shit. 2, it's not like she can stay in the apartment. I don't care what y'all say. Her and that friend we saw last week, they running the hustle. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't have to put my finger on, but I can tell you something. I can tell you this much. They running the fucking game. I can tell you that. Anyway, so Andrew, you are coming off like a real sucker. And I don't say that about, I try not to say that about men on a regular basis, or people that do this anyway, but you are coming off like a sucker. Okay, now how do you kiss a person all in the mouth? And this is not judgment, well, it kind of is, who just left prison, ain't taking no real shower, you don't know what they dealt with in terms of hygiene. And that's just me, but I'm just saying, all in the mouth. So he was considering, her feelings. They're talking on the back of a pickup truck. And her saying that she wanted to take it slow because, she's not used to affection or whatever. Understandable. But my thing is, why did you agree to marry him? Oh, because you need that money to keep going in. And honestly, to get on your knee in front of camera to somebody who just got out of jail who's dependent on you is an act of manipulation, if you ask me. All right, fuck them. Okay. So Rick and Samantha. All right. So Rick tells his nieces about the class reunion. And he's also telling them that, he told everybody that Samantha's engaged and he's getting teary eyed. And I was like, okay. And then his nieces start playing him about the fact they asked him how many times has she been married. And she's been married 4 times. He's been married twice. And the niece was like, I guess the fifth time is a charm. I said, oh my gosh. But I will say, Rick's not a real sucker. Because Rick is willing to say, look, I ain't got it. I can't do this. And that's real. Okay. Anyway, so he gets on the phone with Sam, letting everybody know that they were engaged once again. So she asked if he's coming to visit her in December. And he was like, I don't know because things are tight. And she was like, she's not taking no for an answer, basically. And it's going to be good if she doesn't, it's not going to be good if I don't have coffee, if I don't have lotion. I was like, what is she talking about? And then I realized that this is the stuff she needs money for or whatever. And I was like, how does she plan to punish him? We saw last week, Rick is not wanting for dates or women. Okay? And I'm sorry. I mean, like, honestly, a lot of people on here just extend money ridiculously on these people. And I mean, that is the most befuddling part of this show. And then somebody who's like, I don't have it. He was like, I'm on a fixed income. My last wife gets half the pension, which I know happens when people retire, people who are married and dependent on each other, so on and so forth, whoever made more money, that happens. And she's just like, well, this, that, and the other. I need this, I need that. And you might as well stay a bachelor, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, how are you fucking essentially threatening this man from Idaho? First of all, I don't think this relationship is good, worth it. And quite frankly, I think it's toxic. Because Samantha is always like basically bullying him. Even though Rick is clearly, he be playing games too. But I'm just saying, she's like kind of always threatening something. Like, you better not go to that reunion and this, that. So anyway, the niece is a corrections officer. Okay. So she was like, I hear prisoners asking for stuff and using people all the time. And maybe, she was like, maybe Samantha just mad because she thought she had a sugar daddy and she didn't. And she starts laughing. I was like, you didn't have to emasculate your uncle like that. But anyway, so first of all, even as they were talking, I was like, how does the U.S. overspend money to fund and build prisons and jails, and y'all can't even make sure prisoners have basic fucking resources to help them live, like fucking lotion, soap, toothpaste that's decent, not fucking cement across their teeth. You're just making them more criminally minded because they're sitting in jail thinking of ways to get over so they can get what they need. And I've known this has been a problem for a long time, but honestly, things like coffee and lotion are really not a lot to ask. And as far as I'm concerned, those aren't luxuries. They're really not. How people function in the real world, I don't drink coffee, but most people do, or a good majority of them do. And it's to keep caffeine, to keep working and things like that. Like, these aren't big asks. Anyway, she keeps pressuring him to come to Idaho. First of all, ain't nothing in Idaho. Ain't nothing in Arizona where he's at either, but that's nothing he's used to. Even though he's telling her money is tight, inflation is a motherfucker. Like, my rent has gone up 3% since last July. That's why this lease is still sitting here. Okay, I don't care how long I've been in this apartment. That's bullshit. And they have not capped that in New York and stopped, stabilized the rates since COVID. So they're going to make up for all the money people couldn't afford to pay. This is bullshit. And honestly, Rick is only 58. And I was like, what kind of early retirement is that? Which means he retired early. Not to mention he was in jail. for a lot of that time. I'm like, how do you manage to get a pension? You let some black people fuck up like that and see if they still got it. So as far as I'm concerned, she's tripping. I think Sam has another guy, and honestly, is trying to pick fights so she can get rid of Rick and have a reason, but she still wants to be able to keep any income he sends her. That's what I think is happening. All right, Joey and Michael. I'm not trying to be mean because there's a huge piece of me for some reason that feels for Joey, particularly because of his addiction issues. But y'all could have kept this. Like the way y'all kept Tina and Rob off our screen last week. This is something y'all could have. We didn't need to see Joey and Michael this week. Certainly not this. So Joey meets up with Minerva, who writes a sex column, is a drag queen. And he's talking to her about his relationship with Michael and how their relationship is sexually, so on and so forth. So, and Minerva's a sex columnist or something. Sorry. So he says he has trouble with intimacy. And Michael keeps pressuring him with dirty talk and this, that, and the other. And I was just like, I don't like to hear the details of other people's personal lives like this. I really don't. I think that's a personal thing between you and that other person. But I don't want to hear about it. I don't. I'm uncomfortable with that, okay? So she gives him good advice about all the other things. Like people listening, like the things that could be causing this. She was like, well, there's people listening to your phone calls. You live with your parents. That doesn't exactly make you feel safe to kind of be, sexually who you are as an adult. And that's true. That's true. There are a lot of other things. You have people from prison, it's just not, it's not good. So Michael told Joey his fellatio skills are bad. This is what I'm talking about. Why did we need to know this? First of all, I don't believe Michael for a tenth of a second. I don't. Michael runs way too much game for that. Okay? Anyway, but I honestly, that scene went on too long for me. It went on way too long. I think Joey is struggling with intimacy, and many people do. But I think in particular with Joey, and I think that's why I kind of feel for him, I think he spent a lot of time in the closet and scared to tell people that he was gay, despite the fact that we see his family loves him and, is accepting the fact that I think he was like married twice to a woman, to different women, and he felt like he was supposed to pretend, right? Or try to make himself like women. And a lot of people feel that because everything in society, and by and large, everything that's around gay people, even from the time they're growing up and moving into puberty, says this is kind of normal and this is different. I mean, we're just getting to a point where we can see that on a regular basis. And trust and believe, things move very slow in other parts of the country. And I think internally he struggles with that kind of intimacy because he spent so much time doing this. And he's like, am I supposed to really like this? That's what I think. Am I supposed to really feel that? And if I do, what's going to happen? That's what I think. And you can just grow up at school in the way people, throw the term gay around and all that other shit. That will mess you up. But this is where Joey had me messed up. Joey is at a motel. Okay. He's like, I brought lube and stuff. And he rented a motel room so he can have private time with Michael. I said, huh? I said, don't he have his own room? I said, what do you mean you rented a motel so you can have dirty talk with Michael and feel better about it? You might as well. I just don't understand why you couldn't have gone in your personal bathroom, shut the door or something. Like, I don't understand why you just couldn't, like, isolate, because that to me was not motel money. And I just feel like if that's the case, then Michael's not a good fit for you, and you probably need to get out on your own. And I think it's good, though, that maybe Joey is at home with his parents, because it seems like he can relapse and stuff like that. So Michael is bad news as far as I'm concerned. He is one of them people that, I'm not saying he likes prison or anything, but he's been there long enough to kind of be like, well, if I end up there, I know how to maneuver this, that, and the other. And like, he's out here somewhere. So Michael, I don't care what nobody says, has multiple boyfriends. Michael's on some bullshit. I can just tell. So I don't have no proof, but I can tell. So Michael told Joey his friend saw him on a hookup app. And Joey was like, why? Do you not trust me? And I was like, when men operate with men doing that gaslighting shit to one another that we normally see on women, You just see it's just toxic. It's a toxic male thing. Anyway, so Michael was like, "Well, don't do that because it gets back to me always." And I'm just like, "What is that? A threat?" And how you gonna threaten somebody on the outside and try to make them live like you? And it ain't just Michael. It's Rob. It's all the all the rest of them and shit. So the issue is Michael's embarrassed that he said that he's with this man, and we already know he got multiple boyfriends everywhere. So Joey was like, I was just trolling, going after Michael's website and stuff, but even if I do, so what? Like, you're in prison. And I said, facts. I said, and Joey, keep that attitude, find a man your own speed, and get out that motel room and just get on with your life. Okay, so who we have next? We did Rick and Samantha. Teeny and Rob. Okay, let's do Teeny and Rob. All right. So Teeny and Rob, here we go. Teeny goes to have a talk with her kids, and she's calling Rob daddy to them. That's already a problem for me. For the past 4 years, they've known this man via prison. He's not either one of their fathers. They don't know this man. What they do know is he's been in prison. He's been in prison since he was like, what, 18, 19? He's had no adulthood in the real world. Not to mention, we could tell he comes from a fucked up family. So she told them that Rob is coming 2 months later than they expected. And when her son was like, I mean, after 4 years, what's 2 months? And Teeny was like, yeah. And I'm just like, Teeny, I'm trying with Teeny. I tried with Teeny. Because I really do think she is a sweet woman. I think she is somebody who would be okay if she just did her. You can tell by how well behaved her kids are, how polite they are, how Teeny acts. It seems to be very even keel, right? They feel loved, they feel supported. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when that sorry motherfucker comes into the fray for real, he's already toxic. They got cameras all over their house. You think they ain't gonna remember that shit when they get older? And wonder what the fuck was she thinking? He not their dad. What the fuck is he watching? You got a little girl moving in to her teenage years. And who the fuck else in prison is watching this? The fuck out of here. All right? So she tells her daughter that he's not going to be able to make it to her birthday party, but he will for sure be there next year. I was like, was it me or did that girl seem over it? Like, she didn't seem sad. Honestly, it's probably embarrassing and frustrating to spend 8 more fucking weekends going to jail for a man who is not their father and who their mother makes them go and see. Leave them kids at home and let them hang out with their fucking friends. You know he's going to try to come back home and like be controlling because he done been controlled. I appreciate Teeny taking the time with her daughter to talk about what's happening and reassure her that they still spend time together. It's going to change everything though. It is. And Rob is not ready for a family. And a man with a mom like that, I can tell you right now, their relationship wasn't healthy. She wants things from him now that she didn't give him even as a kid. And that's why he's controlling. That's why all those cameras are in the house. I'm telling you right now, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to prevent a situation, even though I'm just talking here. He's going to be abusive one way or another. It's not that I'm wishing that on you, but this is a cautionary tale. Cassie, all the other women, and every time she goes, well, Rob says, I'm going to tell you where I harken back to without even trying. Those surviving R. Kelly documentaries. And I guess with the name Rob, well, Rob said, like, and I know this isn't the same person, but fuck it. It's a bullshit situation. I hate to say that, but fuck the bullshit. Sometimes you got to tell people the truth to keep them out of trouble. So Teeny and her mom, Charlene, they're going shopping for her daughter's birthday, and she's mad about him not consulting with her about the probation versus 2 more months in prison. Okay. So she's going to get him back by spending money. First of all, I refuse to believe that Rob has been overly supplying her lifestyle. I don't believe that, Teeny. And I know people can make anything look like anything on reality TV. Well, you know, that's how she got her house and her car and all this other bullshit. First of all, if that is, I can already tell you something illegal is going on. And that motherfucker might spend 2 more decades in jail. If that's the case. Ain't no way in hell. Teeny has 2 kids. She only met this man 4 years ago. Teeny was self-sufficient. I don't care what y'all say. I don't care whether we see her actually going to work or not. That's some bullshit. There's some bullshit somewhere. That's a fucking lie. Ain't no way he's supplying a whole ass lifestyle. He wasn't no mafia boss anyway. So, Rob said, look, she's turned into a spoiled brat. He said he goes to the poker tables and makes money to help support her. He keeps saying he's an alpha male. And this ninja doesn't even make his own bedtime. They tell you when to go to sleep. They tell you when lights out. You up here talking about you an alpha male, baby. No, you ain't. But you're not. You're not. And the mom says it's going to be an adjustment, Teeny's mom, because she's used to her daughter and her grandkids. And the mom was like, it's not going to be the fairy tale they thought once he comes home. It's not. It's not the fairy tale people think once they have their wedding ceremony and start living together. And that's just because reality, I mean, things change. Life changes. She was like, my daughter is naive and sweet, and you can tell she's naive. And she is sweet. And the mom was like, those cameras around the house, they're just not normal. It's not normal. And it's not healthy. And it's controlling. And it's already abusive. What the hell they worried about some man catching them doing something for? Who's watching them on camera all the fucking time? So what? What the fuck you think kids do? But eat ice cream and play games and shit like that? What the fuck is that to him? He ain't never had no goddamn kids. He ain't never had no real life in the real world. Teeny, he's not going to come out and be faithful to you. He's not going to come out and be a good husband. He doesn't know how to even be in the real world. He don't know how to be an employee yet. Anyway. And what is he watching them do all the time? He's a fucking weirdo. And he's already talking that bullshit. I want a woman to be more submissive. And I'm like, you're in prison. She doesn't like to be submissive. Why? Because she tells you what she thinks? There is nothing aggressive about Teeny at all. It's not. Honestly, to me, and the only reason why, because I think Teeny's fucking up by having her kids around this man. But the only reason why I'm giving her the level of grace I'm giving her is because Teeny actually looks really sad to me. I think Teeny is one of those people who did not feel like she was enough or as a failure just because she had 2 kids with, a man that passed and another one who's not in the picture. And she didn't want to look or appear like the woman who couldn't keep a man or chased off the father of her kids. No, things happen. That man passing away. That's sad. That happened. That's life. Unfortunately, sometimes things like that happen. But when you start taking on that mindset that something's wrong with you as a black woman, then you just accept, the shittiest motherfucker on the block or in the cell block in this case. Like, it makes you do dumb shit. And he's talking about, how the hell you want somebody to be submissive? He's trying to control her because he doesn't have any control in his life and has not since he's been in prison. All right, he said with her not being as submissive, their relationship could crash. First of all, the men that want women to serve them are already on some bullshit. See, that's an insecure person. And insecure men are often abusive men. We just gonna keep it all the way fucking real. You only have to exert that level of control over somebody because you're afraid they're gonna leave, but then you tell them they ain't shit and nobody else will want them. So what the fuck you want them for? What the fuck you telling them that for? Because you're trying to make them believe that. Because that's really what you feel about yourself. And as far as I'm concerned, I serve God, not man. Ain't nobody gonna talk me into this shit. Oh, well, the Bible says women submit yourselves to your husband. It also says slaves obey your masters. We done found a way out of that one. The Apostle Paul deserves interrogation of Scripture. Scripture is a strong base, but it has to be understood. There's a reason why your pastor should go to seminary. Should have gone to college, seminary, graduate school for training. Real training. And I'm not here for that. I don't owe it to any man to play down what God has given me for his insecurities. Because if that was the purpose, God wouldn't bother to give us as much as he's given us as women. I'm not playing that game. And men who need that stuff, they're stunted. They're not worth having. This is also a way of further fracturing their relationship on Rob's part so he can do what he wants. right? He wants to kind of break it up and say she's doing this, she's doing that. He's already putting that out there, right? Because I'm supposed to believe it. Fuck you, motherfucker. I ain't believing shit. So her mom crying and saying she wishes she could have done more. That hit. That hurt for me watching that because I'm sure she did her best. I also felt like that was a way of saying maybe she wouldn't be married to a prisoner right now if I would have done more. If I would have done something for a different example. And the bottom line is no, you couldn't have. Sometimes people just make decisions that are bad, that are poor. And mom, you've lived. You've seen what happens to other women in these situations. You know that. It's not your fault. I'm sure you protected her as much as you could. Because she really, you can tell she's a nice person. But she makes bad decisions. And we can see it coming. And she can't. And I'm going to tell you right now, Teenie always looks like she's ready to break out into tears. That's why I think she's depressed. I ain't no psychologist. I'm just saying. That's what I think. All right. Last and kind of least but most entertaining, it's Ayanna and Jamal. Anyway, so Ayanna is a shit show. So she's talking to Jamal about her court hearing coming up. She's had Zoom court, okay? So really all she got to do is just get it together. So this bitch was looking at herself in the mirror talking about how people mix hot chocolate packs and soda for makeup in jail. And she was like, so I guess I'll be doing that. You ghetto ignorant hood rat. You got bigger issues. Like not wearing a t-shirt to Zoom court. Just find a nice button down. Try to look better. And I wouldn't say that if I thought she didn't have much, because some people don't. But my problem with her is you got thousands of dollars to put on this sorry motherfucker's books. But you can't do that to get a decent outfit for Zoom court. You couldn't have gotten a babysitter for your 2-year-old, the same person, whoever the hell you leave her with when you go stripping, to make sure she was taken care of during this time. So anyway, he's giving her a bunch of bullshit because, he lied about being married, talk about it takes 2 years. And then he was like, well, look, it's not, he essentially wants to waste 2 years to make sure she gets the wedding that she wants. You don't trust him, Ayanna. And you shouldn't. Because anybody that would sleep with you knowing you were best friends with his ex ain't shit. And you ain't neither. And the way you came into that situation, we all know that never ends well. All right, so she's on Zoom court, and instead of getting herself together for the court hearing that morning and that baby, she talking to this sorry bastard on the phone. I said, girl, bye, this was already starting off wrong. She trying to be on the phone and get her dressed or whatever. And honestly, if she was talking to her lawyer, her mother, I would have felt differently, because sometimes you just need that kind of support. But that's not what we're looking at. And we're not dealing with a person that we can really feel for. So cameras weren't allowed to film her hearing. Good. Okay? So she said the judge told her she can't feed her during a court hearing. And she was like, I don't know who the fuck she thinks she is telling me what the fuck I can't do with my daughter. There are a couple of things here. And the judge told her 4 years probation, along with this 75 days shit or whatever. She was mad. So there's a couple of things here. She was mad. And now, do I believe that the judge could have told her she couldn't feed her daughter? Yes. That she needed to be focused or something on court? Sure. And we know that judges can do really disrespectful shit. But they're also the judge. And I'm sure it didn't happen like that. About 85% sure it didn't happen like that. She was probably doing everything but paying attention. Probably said, like, are you focused? Like, are you hearing what I'm saying to you? You have 2 DUIs. It's now your second DUI, and you were able to avoid jail time before this. And you still don't think there's anything wrong with what you did. Like, you literally are saying, how the fuck is it, like, bad for me to be high and driving? That's the stuff you've said. So we already know you on some ignorant shit. And my thing is, that time you were spending on the fucking phone talking to Jamal about the court hearing over fucking Zoom, that's when you should have been feeding your fucking daughter. You knew you had court. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to feed your kid, but I am saying you should have made appropriate plans. Because a baby can start crying or whatever, to have a babysitter, have somebody, you have court and you don't even have to show up at court. And you're giving that, I don't give a fuck. And then she's mad. She's like, oh, because I got a smart mouth. She thinks because she's a judge, I got to kiss her ass. Yeah, bitch. You do. It sucks, but you do. And I was like, nah, fuck you. And I don't like Jamal, but when he said, yeah, you do have to bite the bullet because your freedom is on the line, he was absolutely fucking right. Now, you getting this from the horse's mouth. He telling you, sitting in jail, that, yeah, you got to take that. Yeah, a lot of them are dickheads. But in court, you can't react. Not like that. Because they're human beings. They respond to energy. They respond to behavior like human beings. Sometimes people mistreat you or you feel like they have an attitude, so you get one back. I'm not saying it's fair, but fuck that shit. We already know it ain't fair. And I ain't making no excuses for this ignorant chick. Fuck you. Because maybe you need some time away to sober you up. And these are the dumb decisions that your mother was fucking talking about. It's a dumb decision to not even put on a decent top for Zoom court. It's a dumb decision to not have it got up, made arrangements, fed your child, and prepared for court. Then to run your mouth when you should have just shut the fuck up or just said, I apologize. Sorry, I did not mean that. She was just asking for something. Like, that's your fault. And I don't do this a lot with Black people because I know how often the court systems are unfair to us. We have everything up against us. When you do ignorant shit like this, I'm not excusing it because then that's how it continues. Now, this shit got to cease. Okay? And we need the kind of empathy. We can save that for the people who need it because there's enough of those. She don't fucking need it. All right? But also, it was just like, you were still talking to Jamal's stupid ass on the phone. A recorded phone call because it's to jail. And then you admitted to us you was talking smart back to the judge. She told Jamal that. We heard that. That's what got you 4 years probation, tentatively. He was like, 4 years? 4 years probation is torture. Because probation, you have to check in. She ain't killed nobody. On top of the 75 days? No, bitch, you did that. You kept running your fucking mouth. And that's, once again, what your mother said, but she said, stop doing stupid stuff. I can't with these people. But anyway, I'll see y'all later for Love and Marriage Huntsville. I hope y'all enjoy your Saturday, and we'll talk soon.